Alright, what's up friends? I'm doing the stealth drone build. And this has the retracts on it. This is part 1. And that's this jet here. I'll be building this one for myself. That was an old model I had. I ended up revamping a few things. I put a KF airfoils on it. I wanted to go ahead and build a new one for myself. Alright, so the plans came on a sheet of paper. I went ahead and cut off a lot of this stuff. I went ahead and cut out my main wing. I took 2 sheets of foam board. It was just dollar store foam board. Took and taped them together in the center, like so. We're going to take our plans. I got a line here for the CG on this stealth drone. What I like to do, grab a pen. I like to put the CG right on the tape line, and I like to have the tape on top of the foam, so when I do my hot glue, and you won't see no excess hot glue. But I'm going to go ahead and continue my CG line right off the paper. Now when I built this plane and I did the plans up, I made the CG a little far forward so it'll be a little nose heavy. I would suggest when you build these jets, don't take so much time on your first one, so that way, I mean, they're not that hard to build. So the first one you build, you really don't even have to bother painting it if you don't want to. Just keep it all white and just fly your first one to make sure you got all your electronics where you want it and the CG correct. And that way, if you have a little crash or something because your CG wasn't right, you can just go ahead and strip all the parts back off and build another one. Alright, let's jump right into this. So there I got my CG line, and I'm going to line it up with my tape. Go ahead and tape down our plans. Make sure you guys get your plans nice and flat on your foam board. For the retracts on this, I'm using you get them from Hobby King, and they're off the Durafly DH Vampire 1100mm, and you can buy the replacement retracts right from Hobby King on there. And I believe even the US warehouse has them, so you can get them quicker than waiting from the global warehouse. Go ahead and just tape these down. Alright, so we got our plans taped down. Let's get a few more on here. On a lot of these parts, like the tail fins and stuff, I'm just going to cut those off camera. I mean, they're just easy straight cuts, along with the side canopy covers. A few of these I have marked on them 45-degree angle cut outward, so you'll know which way to cut on them. But for a lot of these pieces, these are my bottom fins. They go on the bottom of the jet. They're just straight cuts, so I'm going to cut those off camera too. This is the top of the main fuselage. I'll make sure I get a video of that. Alright, let's get right into this. Now there's a template that comes for setting your dihedral on this jet. I already went ahead and cut one out of a spare piece of foam board. As you can see, a little diagram I got there, you'll see how you place this on the bottom of your jet to set the dihedral and set the wings. And it's very important that you set the dihedral and everything correct. But we'll get to that a little later. Alright, I'm going to go right into cutting this out. As you can see where I got 45-degree angle cut out, that means you're going to cut to the outside of the piece at a 45. Same thing on the leading edges of the wings. On the back I have a 45-degree cut in. First thing I'm going to do, make sure you guys got your tools. What I got here is I got X-Acto knives I like to use, and just straight razors. So as you see, I got a X-Acto knife and a straight razor knife. First thing you want to do, so I'm going to go ahead and cut out where the retracts are going to be installed. These are the 1100 millimeter Vampire from Durafly. They come off of the DH Vampire 1100 millimeter. And they're going to be installed right on here. But we'll get to that in a little bit. The first thing I want to do is I want to cut out these retracts. I'm also going to cut out for where my EDF unit goes. On the back here, don't cut that piece out until you set the dihedral on your wings. I would leave this piece right on until pretty much you're almost finished installing the EDF and setting the dihedral. Then you can come back and use the template to cut that right off. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and cut out for the EDF unit. For building the thrust tube for this jet, I have a video for that on my YouTube channel on foam concept jets. That's my YouTube channel name, and it's building the thrust tube using the Detram 70mm EDF unit. So I'm going to go ahead and cut all this out. You guys are going to want to follow these steps. Alright, so there's where our 20-ounce foam cup thrust tube unit's going to be installed. Alright, now I have a V. You'll see on the dihedral on this plane, you're going to have to do some cutting on the top and on the bottom. Like these score lines for setting the angle on the ends of the wings, you'll have to cut on the bottom side of the foam. So don't go scoring those. But I do, wherever I have top side dihedral, V-notch top side, you'll want to score those lines on the top. There's actually just 2 of them here. I'm going to go ahead and just score them now. By score I just mean cut through like maybe halfway through the foam. Take care not to cut all the way through. So I got one there. Same on this side. V-notch top side. So again, I'm just going to score it. Now we're gonna cut out for our retracts, and that's just the inside. You'll see you cut out the whole piece here. I'm just gonna go ahead and freehand it. You can see where I got popsicle sticks. There's going to be popsicle sticks on the top and the bottom of the foam board to hold the retracts in place. I'll get that in on like part 3 of the build here. This is where an X-Acto knife comes in handy. And again, I always do my cutting on carpet, just a flat carpet. That way you don't dull out your razor knives. You get some nice clean cuts. Like I said, guys, go ahead and build one. Just throw one together. And don't take a lot of time with it and make it all special looking, just in case your CG's off or anything. That way you can, you can always just build another one if you crash it. I would build one, do some testing with it, get your CG correct, get everything right. And then on the second build you do, that's when you can take your time and put a nice paint scheme on it. And I say that because I know a lot of people ain't going to use the Detram 70mm combo kit. I mean, you might go with like a, I don't know, you could even bump it up to a Dr. Mad 68mm EDF unit running a 4-cell, or any of the more expensive fan units. But then it's going to move the CG around on the plane. So again, that's why I say just go ahead and build one. If you're going to use different electronics, build one, throw it together, fly it, everything works out fine, then you can go back and really put a lot of work into your next one. And I'm going to show you in the videos how I install the retracts to foam board, so you guys can do it on any of the jets that you design or build. Alright, so there's the 2 retracts for the rear. Throw those to the side. Now for the front one, there's no cutting out for the retract. One thing I would suggest doing is just take like a pen, and where I have the square here, if you want to just push kind of hard on the pen, it'll go through the paper right to the foam board. And this way you'll know where the front retract gets installed. Alright, so now I already scored my 2 outer dihedral lines. V-notch on bottom, those are for the bottom side. You're gonna have to, I'll show you how to do that after I'm done cutting out the main wing. Alright, so here I got a 45-degree angle out on the leading edge of the wings and the leading edge of the front of the nose. So I'm going to go ahead and 45 those. Try to keep your 45 the same all the way down your plane. here and do the same thing on this side. .45 on the leading edge. Then on the back, they're all 45-degree angle cuts inward. You guys can use a ruler if you want to do this. I just like to eyeball it out. I'm just going to freehand it to make the videos a little quicker. So there's, as far as your pieces, keep these off to the side because you're going to need them again to set your lines on the ends of the wings. Just keep those pieces, and you're going to want to keep all your plan pieces because it'll show you where stuff goes, like where your battery's going to sit, where you can mount your ESC, your receiver. And again, don't cut out the back piece behind the thrust tube. Leave that on the wing until we set the dihedral and everything. Alright, so let's see if I got it. Yeah, I did. So there's the main airframe cut out. Just toss that to the side. So here you can see where the front retract, I just made a mark with a pen through the paper so it just, I can see where it goes. Go ahead and check this from underneath, make sure I got all my cuts. That one's good. That's where I'm going to be installing my retracts. Just want to make sure I finish off all these cuts from the top. It's hard to tell sometimes. I usually miss some of the paper on the back. Tell you a little thing I like to do too is, as you start finishing up your build, like before I install my retracts, I like to go back with foam safe glue and just get foam safe glue all the way around on the inside here, the piece cut out, so it makes it really strong and then the paper won't peel back or anything. I mean, when I'm done with the plane, I'll foam safe glue all the leading edges. The whole jet. All my leading edges. Alright, so here we got our main wing cut out. Go ahead and trim up a little bit of this. We also cut our thrust tube, which I'm going to go ahead and trim out that right now. If you guys are just getting into building jets, you might want to start with some of my easier builds, like my 70mm batwing, before you move into these jets with the retracts. So again, we'll just do a quick recap. I cut out for the thrust tube. I also scored where it said score line. We're going to have to V-notch that out to be able to set the dihedral in the wings. Went ahead and cut out the retracts. It's for our 2 rear retracts. And I just marked through the paper with a pen where the front one's going to go. So I have a good idea where I got to place it. Alright, now let's grab our template for setting the dihedral. Let's foam to the side. Now what I like to do, you guys, is we're going to have to score a line all the way down the center. I'll go ahead and just lay my plans back up where they were. Make sure I got it nice and centered. You guys could have went ahead and scored the center line too before you even move the plans off, but I can just go back and hit it now. This is going to set the dihedral in the wings. So again, I'm just going to score the center line. Again, I always keep my plans off to the side. Alright, so now we got the center scored. Alright, I'm going to take and hot glue the bend where we connected the 2 pieces. Take my hot glue gun. You guys ain't got to use a ton of hot glue. Just to get enough to connect the pieces. Then any excess glue, just wipe it right off. Make sure it's nice and flat though, you guys. Let that set up for a second. I've built this jet with a thrust vector unit on it. I've done this jet a few different ways. But I like taking off and landing from the ground. It just makes flying a lot more funner. Alright, that should be set up pretty good. Alright, now so where we scored the line in the center, I'm going to take and widen that line out with just a pen. because I got to be able to get this wing to fold up for our dihedral. So just where I scored the line, I'll run a pen down it. Go ahead and break it at the line. You'll see, sometimes you got to come back and run a pen down it twice. Now we're getting the dihedral that we need. And that's what the template's for. I'll go ahead and set this template. I just like to take and stand it up on another piece of scrap foam. Very important that you make the wings fit the template. You're going to need this dihedral, the exact dihedral. So make sure you score down the center of the wing enough that you'll be able to get that, just like I got there. Alright, so I'm going to go ahead and set that. I'm going to run a bead of hot glue down where I scored it. And then just place it on your template. And again, you guys can go ahead and run down, get some of that hot glue off there. Some of the excess. Just make sure you set your wing right where the template is underneath. Set it right where your CG line is. And make sure you guys get that exact dihedral bend. Let that set up for a second. Alright, so there we got our dihedral set in the main center of the wing. Again, once we install the EDF unit, I didn't worry about this hot glue, because once I install my EDF unit, this gets cut off. You'll just take the plans, take that piece, cut it off the plan, set it back here and just cut off where it's marked. Alright, so there was my template, and I'll also use this template to set the dihedral in the wings. Alright, so now I can take and snap where we scored our lines on the top.